What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. In this episode, we are going to talk about credit and debt and how I personally use credit and debt to accelerate my growth and not to actually, I think a lot of people think of credit and debt as a bad thing, as like this like tyrannical like beast that's like oppressing you. But really, credit and debt can be really, really magical. And I'm going to share with you guys how I avoided credit and debt and also how I used it to my advantage. So, two things that I did to avoid huge credit and debt was that I didn't go to college, right? Because when I was 18, I really didn't see the points in taking out a huge six-figure loan to pay for college for me to only be making 50 to 60 grand a year. Because to be honest, I didn't really have the passion or what it took to go to school and get a major and a degree that paid six figures. So I was only looking at like a 60, $70,000 per year salary if I like really applied myself, and I knew I wouldn't, right? So I didn't see the point in taking a six-figure loan to be making less than six figures a year and then be paying it off over the next 10 to 15 years. There really wasn't a return on investment. Actually, I would be losing money in my net worth long term if I went that route. So I avoided that route like the black plague because I was like, that's not going to accelerate me. That's actually going to slow me down from personal growth and reaching my financial goals, in my life. The second thing is a house, right? I do not plan on getting a house anytime soon. The reason being is because I don't see it as a great investment at 24 years old, right? If I took out, multiple seven-figure loan and lived in that house and I'm paying to live in that house, paying the bank, well, my net worth can grow over time, 10, 5, 10, 15 years as the value in the house grows. But every single month, I'm going to be paying into that. And even if I were to get renters to live in that and essentially the house paid for itself, that's good. That's smart. But like, I also know that I can use that money and get quicker returns than just a monthly like mortgage payment. Right. And so another thing too is that I don't understand why people have no problem taking out six-figure loans for, school or six-figure loans for buying a house, but they shit their pants when it comes to investing a fraction of that price in themselves or in their business. My thought process is you can invest a fraction of the amount that you would take out in credit for a house or for school, and you can get like exponential returns, right? You can invest $10,000 into a coach and make 50 grand a month. And that happens all the time. I see it happen all the time. And so I knew that if I used credit to invest in myself and invest in my business, I can accelerate and exponentially grow my monthly income way faster than I ever would if I put that money into a house or if I put that money into a college degree, right? That's just my thought process. But when I was 18 years old, I didn't have money to invest, right? I, was just getting out of high school. I was working at a yogurt shop and I had nothing, right? But I would hear about these programs, 2.5K over here, 5K over here, 10K over here. And I was like, I wish I had that money, right? Well, I thought, why don't I just use credit to invest in these programs? I'll use other people's money to invest in these programs. And then from the information that I learn, I can make enough money to pay off the credit and then also pay myself at an exponential return. That's exactly what I did. Actually, the first time I ever used credit, I was 19 years old. I was getting started with my YouTube channel. I was using this bunk, like really terrible camera that I got at a yard sale for like 25 bucks. And I was like, you know what? It's time for me to really take this business seriously. It's time for me to invest in my business and invest in, my career. The first thing I wanted to buy was a new camera, but I had no money, right? The camera was only $500 and I couldn't even afford the camera. And so what I did is I walked into the bank, I asked for a line of credit. They gave me my first credit card and I maxed that shit out on the first day. Bought my camera, and it was awesome, right? So what I was able to do is I was able to use other people's money like credit to accelerate my growth rather than trying to wait and save. So what could have taken me 6 months to save up for that camera, I actually accelerated that today, right? And even though I was in debt in credit, I knew that with that debt, I can actually make money faster because now I had bought in myself 6 months of time to where in 6 months from now, I would not be in the same position, but I'd actually be way further ahead. Right. So I paid off the camera. My credit score increased. I got really great credit score. My credit limit increased. And eventually, it just kept increasing every single time I had a credit increase. I would max it out. Right. I invested in my first business coach, my first mentor, maxed out on a credit card. Every single time I paid off my credit, I would max it out again, max it out again. And every single time the purchases would get bigger and bigger and bigger. First was 500, then it was 1500, then it was 2.5K, then it was 5K. And now I'm putting about $10,000 a month on my credit card every single month because I know if I can use that money to invest in my business, I'm going to buy back time. And with that time, I can take steps forward that are going to accelerate my growth. Right. And with the investment, you're going to make your money back if it's a smart investment. Right. So that is how I use credit. I honestly think it is one of the most like one of the most resourceful things that you can do. And if you guys listen to my podcast, there's a podcast episode called Do You Need to Be Smart to Be Successful? If you guys haven't listened to it, I'd recommend going back to my podcast and listening to that episode. And in that episode, I talk about, resourcefulness. I say you don't actually need to be smart to be successful. You just need to be resourceful. Can you be resourceful to gather whatever it is that you need to make a move? And for example, credit. Credit is a huge resource that you can use and leverage to your advantage, right? And I know when people are actually serious about investing in themselves or when they're, not so serious because if they're not willing to take credit out on a loan, then they're not that serious because smart people know that credit is an option that you can use to accelerate your growth, right? And if you're willing to take out a six-figure loan for school or for a house, I don't understand why a five-figure loan of credit is that much scary, right? And yeah, so that's how I use credit for my advantage and my personal growth. And that's how you guys can use credit for your personal growth as well. If you guys don't have the money, if you guys know that there's a move that you want to make and you don't have the money, be freaking resourceful and exhaust your options, right? So I hope that helped you guys. Hope that kind of shifted your paradigm a little bit. With that being said, we're going to catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.